Hey, welcome to Making Life More Better podcast, where we are empowering Black men who grew up without a father to live a godly, purpose-driven life through faith, healing, and sharing our stories. I'm Maurice Walker. I'm your host. What if your father's biggest secret was you? If you feel that way, you're not alone. I was my father's biggest secret. Years ago, I was an adult. I was invited to my father's side of the family reunion. And I was invited by his brother, my uncle. When I was there at the family reunion, my uncle I was walking around talking to him. No, my father was not there. So if you're wondering if my father was there, no, he was not there. And I was walking around with my uncle, talking, meeting different family members. And we were over, he took me over to some older family members, and they were sitting there, they were talking. So when we walked over there, we just stood there for a little bit. And one of the ladies, she said, she was looking at me. I saw her looking at me, and then she finally said, "That boy favors somebody." And we were looking like, then she said it twice, and my uncle asked, who does he favor? And another one of the elderly family members, said the same thing. He sure do favor somebody. And my uncle kept asking, who does he look like? Who does he favor? And it was somebody else, an older gentleman, said, he looks like, and then they said my father's nickname. And they said, that's right, he sure do look like him. My uncle said, that's his son. This is his oldest son. They looked at each other like, what do you mean, his son? How is that his son? We didn't know anything about him. Why is this our first time meeting him? And one of them asked me to come closer. I came closer, and she looked at me and she said, how could he not say this is not his son? He looked like him. And just to hear that coming from them, just being acknowledged by them, it meant so much to me. One of them, she said, baby, you are family. Don't ever feel like you're not wanted. Even with us just meeting you, you are family. When you walked up, I could tell you looked like somebody that we were related to, that we were kin to. That's the word she used, that we were kin to. Don't ever feel like you are family. You always welcome here, even if your father, even if your daddy is not acknowledging you. So they had all of these questions like, why isn't he acknowledging you? Who is your mama? Who's your family? Who is your people? Meaning, who am I related to? So I'm standing there, and I told them. They knew my family. Some of them were friends with elderly family members in my family. In fact, my uncle on my mother's side, my mom's brother, and my father's brother, who I was there with, and he was taking me around, they're friends. They know each other. My other uncle, my father's other brother, and some of my first cousins are close friends. But to me, to my father, I was his secret. He never acknowledged me as his son. Even right now today, he has still never acknowledged me as his son. And I share this story because if your father is making you feel like you are a secret, it's not your fault. It's nothing that you have done. It's not your fault. I know you may feel like you're not worthy. You may feel like, if my father cannot accept me, why should anybody else accept you? It's not your fault. You are worthy. Even if he's not acknowledging you, you're still loved. You're still cared about. You still matter. And hopefully you are at a point of trying to heal. And if you're not, if you're at the point of where you're going through all of the emotions, the hate, the anger, all of those different things that comes along with your father not being involved in your life, I went through all of those things. I've dealt with all of those things. And it wasn't easy because at first I didn't realize what was going on. I didn't realize why I was feeling this way. But then when I did, and what actually helped me start realizing that was when I started seeing a therapist. After my doctor, my primary care physician, he was suggesting that. And after about 6 months of him suggesting that, I finally started going to see a therapist, and it started helping me make sense of the whole thing. But I went through all of that. I went through the rejection, feeling like I was rejected by him. I went through abandonment, feeling like I wasn't good enough, feeling like I didn't matter. Even though his brothers, my uncles, even though they treated me like their nephew, I still felt that way because it wasn't him. It wasn't him telling me that I'm his son. It wasn't him acknowledging me. And I know I realize who my father is, and that is God. I know that. I was raised in the church. I had good role models as uncles, cousins in my family that helped me. A lot of my family members that grew up with me, they know my father wasn't involved in my life, but they didn't know the impact and the effect that it had on my life and what I was going through and what I was dealing with. And for you that's going through that right now, that feel like you're not worthy, you're not welcome, you don't matter, you do. You're loved, you're cared about. If you're at the point to where this is affecting every area of your life in a negative way, like it did me, today is the day that is going to stop. Today is the day that you are going to accept the fact and realize that what he did or did not do, I'm not going to let it continue to dictate my life and what goes on in my life, because you deserve more than that. And while you're feeling that way, the same way I was feeling that way, the clock does not stop ticking. Time continues to pass. And I got to a point to where I wasn't giving that power to my father. And I was giving him that power even though he was never involved in my life. He consumed every aspect of my life. Every aspect. And it affected every area of my life. I don't want you to continue down that path to where